Hi, I'm Jim Heinzman, Managing Director for Actimize Global Compliance Solutions. Actimize is a leading provider of financial crimes and compliance solutions to the financial services industry. Today, I'm going to talk about the top 5 challenges to deploying global compliance surveillance systems. So the first point I wanted to raise about the top 5 challenges to deploying a global compliance system is the perfect versus the adequate. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the adequate. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes when firms are deploying compliance solutions, they want to have the absolute perfect system. And typically what they should do is establish a baseline that's adequate coverage that comes out of the box and then enhance it over time. The difference between 95% coverage and out of the box and getting the additional 5% coverage oftentimes elongates the cycles of the project and escalates the costs as well. So it's very important that firms decide what the scope of an adequate baseline coverage is, and that they leverage the features and functions of the technology that they're deploying and their processes, as opposed to taking a manual process or a legacy process and trying to put it on top of a new technology product. So the second challenge in deploying a global compliance system is always having consistent standards across the enterprise with the flexibility to have regional variances. What I mean by that is many firms want to have and need to have a consistent global standard where it's applicable, but they need to have the flexibility in the system and in the technology to be able to deploy regional variances still within the same system. And many of the legacy technologies that firms have in-house it's very challenging to do that and still have that bucket, that enterprise that all of the compliance surveillance technology fits into. So the third challenge in deploying a global compliance solution for an investment bank is data. We always say the devil's in the data, and typically when there's delays in projects and there's the implementation cycles are longer, it's due to data issues. So it's really important that you do your work on the data ahead of time, that you know what data you need, that you know that it's in good form, that you've done the cleansing, that you've interpolated your data correctly, and that you understand it, so that when it goes into the compliance system for surveillance, it's adequate and it runs smoothly. It's worth the investment up front to make sure that you have your data and that you have it in order and that you understand it. The fourth challenge to deploying a global compliance surveillance system is having a management buy-in, having the users at the table early in the process. Some of the projects, some of the deployments that I've experienced that have the most problems are when it's an IT-only project and IT goes away and does a selection and builds things without having the business users and the management buy-in. They should be involved early in the process and throughout the process. That way, when a speed bump or some unknown or unforeseen event happens in a project, you have the right senior level executives who can come in and help you solve the problem. And it's not, it doesn't become contention between the IT infrastructure and the users of the system, but that they're actually working together very early in the process. So the fifth challenge in deploying a global compliance surveillance system is having the right tool for the right job. And one of the challenges always is, it's like trying to build something and you're trying to drive a screw into a board. It's much better to have a screwdriver than a hammer. Now, using that hammer, you may end up getting that screw into the board, but the outcome, the end result, is not going to be the optimal one. So it's important, no different in compliance surveillance systems, to make sure that you understand the scope of your requirements, your needs, and using systems like trading systems or back office systems or Excel spreadsheets for compliance and surveillance are not the right tools. And so you want to make sure that you understand, again, the business problems that you're trying to solve, and that you apply the correct technology to address that particular business problem. So thank you for listening to my top 5 challenges in deploying global compliance surveillance systems. I'm Jim Heinzman, Managing Director of Global Compliance Solutions for Actimize.